Hey, how's it going? This is the Young Man's Game podcast. We are here again with Luis Ramirez and I'm Carlos Antimo once again. So today we're going to talk about our slogan, protecting your energy. So we're going to go into 4 different categories. We're going to talk about 1, what does protecting your energy mean? 2, who to protect it from? 3, how to protect it and why it is important. So first of all, let's start with number 1. Luis, what does protecting your energy mean to you?
Protect my energy to me. Let's start with what energy we mean. We mean spiritual, what people call chi, chakra, all that stuff. So that's what energy is to us. That's what we need to protect. We try to keep what people call good vibes and just good energy all around.
Yeah.
Something important to me is just because good energy keeps you moving forward. It keeps you thriving. It doesn't hold you back. It just kind of gets you in a positive attitude all the time. But what about you, Carlos?
No, yeah, I completely agree. And what I'd add to it, you're talking about the spiritual part of it, and what I wanted to add was like the mental part of it. Just how much like different people in our lives that are trying to steal our energy, like people at home, people at work, different people out like while you're driving,
I definitely agree with that.
Like stuff like that, like that's something that could like ruin your day. So basically, protecting your energy has to do with like your mental state and how you have to protect it, so you're not just thinking about like the next thing, or dwell like, oh man, this one incident ruined my day. Instead of like, okay, this happened within 10 minutes, let's move forward and we still have another 24 hours.
It's more or less, seeing the glass half full,
yes,
if you will.
Exactly.
For me, I like to protect it from people trying to always put you down, always trying to say, it's not possible, you can't do that. And as far as achieving my goals, I don't mean that as far as like, breaking rules, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean as far as achieving my goals, when people say, no, it can't be done.
Yeah.
Like, I like to personally say, that doesn't bug me, I block it, I protect it, my energy, it goes over me. And I just keep going about my day, because I honestly, in my heart, believe, I'm going to achieve what I need to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you, Carlos, what do you do to protect your energy?
So what I do, I talked about a little bit about in the last podcast that we did. We're talking about like meditation is a good thing. I just recently started doing it, and I feel like a lot of the things that have been going in my head, like they just seem smaller, because right now I just focus more on controlling what's controllable rather than what a lot of us do. We try to control like things that we can't do, like what another person is doing or what another person is saying, rather than, okay, but what can I do about it? How can I make this better?
No, I totally agree with all that. Something I do to protect my energy is actually, I have a mindset journal. I write in every day. It keeps me focused on my goals, so I don't forget, what is my plan, what I want in the end game of life. And essentially that keeps me on track from it's a moment I take to remind me of what's important versus what's not important, the things I don't need, the things I not to be appreciated for, the things that didn't make me happy. That's the moment I take when I'm writing down, and I just block it all out, throw it all in my life, and then just keep going.
Yeah.
And Carlos, why do you think why is this such an important factor for everybody, not just us?
I think because a lot of times we get a lot of people trying to tell you like their drama a lot of the times. Right. And so as much as you don't think like it like affects you, it really does.
Right.
Because like if you're surrounded by somebody that's always talking negative things, then it's gonna go on to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's definitely going to put your mind in that perspective, and then now you're going to think negative as well.
Yes.
And then it's just going to keep spreading. And that's something that we want to definitely protect, right?
Yeah, exactly. For example, like we all have those friends that like they want to tell you all of their, well, in Spanish we call it chisme.
The gossip.
The gossip. There you go. And like, so whenever that happens, I always try to say like, okay, get that away from me. Like, for example, one of my sister, like she's every time like she doesn't like somebody or she doesn't like she sees somebody doing this, she goes, Carlos, check this out, like check what this person's doing. Look, this is like, doesn't she look stupid or something like that? I was like, and me, I was go, you know what, hey, get that away from me.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I don't need that in my
Yeah.
life, you know?
Definitely. Something where it applies to me is, you know, sometimes you're on the way to meet a client or something, and you run into some jerk who's road raging, or you run into some little issue like that, kind of sets you off a little bit. It's important because if that upsets me, then I come to an appointment and now I'm upset, and they feel that energy is negative, and they're just kind of like, well, this guy doesn't seem too happy to help me out, so, you know, they just don't get a good vibe from me. On the contrary, if I just ignore all that road rage, if I ignore these jerks in life, and I just go and I'm just like, hey, I'm here to help, and then with a smile and just good energy, they feel that, and then, you know,
Absolutely.
they're more comfortable with you.
Absolutely.
And that's how it helps me in my business and in our industry altogether, right?
Yes, because I mean, that's what everything is about life. It's all about your energy, and other people can sense it too, like you said.
Yeah, definitely. No, I definitely agree with that. When, you know, they make their presence known, you already like, you see somebody, and if it's someone you love, you already gotta go like, oh man, I'm so happy to see them. That's good energy. But when you see someone you don't like, and you're just like, oh, why are you here? That's already bad energy, and you know, it's something to avoid, something that, you know, just push out the way. Also, a benefit or something that helps both of us with the protecting our energy is we exercise, and it
Yes,
just kind of helps us. It gets us a good start in our day. Well, how does that work with you? How does that work out for you, Carlos?
You know what? I make sure I work out at least 5 times a week, and it helps me because like it just takes out all the stress. And after going through the exercise, I go into the sauna. After the sauna, I just feel refreshed, and like really, I just feel good about myself. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I
Like,
agree.
it gives me a new energy.
I agree. For me, as many as you know, it releases endorphins, and it just physically makes me feel good, like powerful. So when I walk in the room, that's an extra edge on top of the mental preparation I do. And these two combined, it just helps my energy just increase and just gets me going for the day. I don't need coffee. That's it. That's my shot.
Yeah, there you go.
So another thing we want to talk about is be the problem solver as well. Don't, you know, negative energies come into you, to just, you know, find a way to solve it in a good way. Like sometimes it might be our loved ones, you know, like he said, his sister,
Yeah.
mother, you know, you have that good talk and say, hey, I don't need that in my life. I'd appreciate it if, you know, you didn't, you know, bring me towards that, and just go on about your day. What about you, Carlos? What do you do to problem solve?
A lot of the times I just, like, it starts with one, controlling the controls. Can I control the outcome or can't I? So a lot of the times I try not to attach myself too much to the outcome, so I focus on, okay, how's this going to benefit me? Can I control what's going on? And at the end of the day, is it going to be a win-win situation for me and them?
Right.
Because you don't want to be arguing with somebody that, and you guys are going to be butting heads all the time. That's
Right.
going to take away your energy because you guys both leave losers.
Right.
Does that make sense?
And that's going to stop you from helping other people with the good energy, right?
Yes.
Right. Something for me, like a good example for me is, you know, I used to not have a lot of people I could help out as far as clients, and I used to be like, put this little story in my head, like, oh man, I'm just not good at it. And really, in reality, I thought I was like, I can't control it. They just don't like me. I'm not good at it. But it wasn't controllable, because that just meant I had to work a little bit more to get the results I wanted. That, you know, train myself a little bit more. All that was completely controllable, but I had a story in my head that it was not controllable. And now, actually, I reach out to several clients every week. It's you know, it's all in the mindset. You know, I started protecting my energy, and just the whole thing just game changer. Now I'm in the game.
You know what? It's good. One thing that I've been learning is first, especially when you're talking to somebody, first listen to understand rather than what you're going to respond.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So that makes absolute sense.
Because like a lot of the times, when you're talking to somebody, you're just trying to figure out, okay, I hear you talking, but I'm figuring out what I'm gonna respond rather than trying to understand where you're coming from and what mindset you're coming at.
Right. And those keywords right there were listen, don't just hear. So most of everybody just hears.
Yes.
They hear it coming in, but they're not listening. They're not trying to comprehend and understand the situation completely, right?
Yes. One thing that I learned, I was listening to another pod. It was a podcast for an event. This one gentleman, he said, I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I should listen twice as much as I should talk.
Right. That makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. It's a logical standpoint. Something else to that could help out build this protecting your energy is read influential books. Don't just read like silly books, the news. Don't be careful with your reading literature. Don't read the news. Don't read stuff that's just propaganda, negative stuff that you're like, oh, that's BS, or that's not the way it happens. Read stuff that helps you out mentally, help you move forward. Same thing with watching what you watch. Everybody sees the news, and who knows what's true? That could be all fake. That could all just be like the news's job is to get people to view. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be true. The job is it's not to spread awareness. The job is to get people to look at their content. Keep that in mind, and just overall.
One thing I would add to that, also social media too. Like there's so many people, and I feel like especially now, we focus more on social media to like present that we have this great life rather than telling the truth. So instead of telling the truth, we get other people trying to figure out like, okay, I want to be like this person because look what they're doing, rather than focusing on themselves and like, you know what, I'm happy with the things that I have. We don't focus so much on the gratitudes that we do have in our lives, and the blessings.
So with Instagram and Facebook, they throw all those pictures that they're living life. They're partying. They're going on vacations. They're doing all this. They're showing you the end goal, but they're not showing you, what it took to get there, and the difficulty, the difficult obstacles they had to pursue in order to get there. Mm-hmm. So they just show you the reward. They don't really show you the quest or the journey.
Absolutely.
And that's something very important. If you want to grow, absolutely look for people who are showing you the journey or showing you how to grow. Don't just like show you the results of what they achieved. So they're basically just showing off. They're not just trying to spread that same happiness or their success with everybody else. They're just like, hey, I made it, but now I'm waiting for you to make it. Yeah. Look into people that want like, hey, I made it, and I want you to make it too. That's the type of stuff you should be looking for to protect that energy.
Absolutely, I love that.
And guys, again, another topic is control your controllables. Know what's controllable, know what's not. You can't control people. You can't control their feelings. You can't control the weather. Block all those things out how they are and just go about your day. You can't control what time you wake up, your attitude, and the people you choose to surround yourself with. That's something also a key factor to look out for.
Yeah, that's good. So I think now we've talked about problem solving. We talked about what protecting your energy means. We talked a little bit more about how to protect it, but like who do we need to protect it from?
Just protect it from anyone who's negative. It doesn't matter if you maybe a colleague, a friend, family. You need to recognize that if it's negative and that it is negative, and you just need to push it away, get that out of your life, and I guarantee you will live a happier life.
Absolutely. One thing that I learned recently in my meditation class, the professor, actually let me bring it out so I can read it to you. So the professor was talking about being like water. And what he means by being like water is that water in itself, it's very soft and it's very slow moving. So it's one of the softest things, yet it penetrates the mountains and the earth, and it clearly implies a principle of the softest overcome the hardest. So lesson that we learned is the world is softest is what's the world's softest is the world's strongest. So what that means is just go with the flow, just like water. Things that are out of your control, shut it off. There's nothing you can do about it. So just go with the flow like water. Anything that goes in the past, it just swims around it. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I took out of like this lesson. I mean,
I want to add on to that, and also not just be like water in that factor or that aspect, but water is one of the most versatile substance on earth. It can be water. It could be you could touch it. It could be steam where you can't touch, but you could see it, and it could be ice.
yes,
So it's
hard like
very
ice.
be very versatile and be like water, cold, soft, and then just but strong.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And I think that just about sums up and wraps up our podcast for today. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Comment if you have any questions, or you have anything you guys want us to talk about, real estate related, or what kind of we do in our personal lives. So tell them guys, always protect your energy.
Okay, so guys, one thing that we also wanted to talk about is your ego and how that's something that it's one of the hardest things that we can let go, because a lot of times our ego gets in the way of our own energy.
Right, definitely.
Does that make sense? Like, and one thing that we need to do more is try to take that out of the conversation when it comes within ourselves, because too much of the times we let the ego take over when it comes to talking to somebody, when it comes to even going to the gym. Like, you want to be lifting higher weights when you shouldn't be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The ego is more of an opinion, honestly. It's telling someone you're right and they're not. And in reality, you should be more passive, be more open, and just kind of drop the ego altogether.
Yes.
So to be more open-minded, saying, okay, let me input what they have to say or their opinions, and then I'll incorporate them into mine, and create something better.
And I think like another thing, it'll go back to try to understand first and then reply.
So
Because try to
listen, don't just hear.
Yes, because a lot of times that kind of stops us. The ego does, because when we're talking to somebody, we're focused more on what we have to say rather than what they have to say, because that takes a lot out of it, right?
Definitely.